Welcome back to the Explanation Pro. Today I'll recap a drama history film called The Last King of Scotland. Spoilers incoming. The movie begins in the greyish overcast skies of Scotland during the early 1970s. A bunch of newly graduated medical students led by Dr. Nicholas Garrigan gleefully jump into the lake in celebration. At night, Nicholas joins his family for dinner as his father, who is also a doctor, assumes Nicholas to follow his footsteps and instructs him to join their family practice. Nicholas is seemingly against this endeavor, knowing how controlling his father is. While in his room, he spins a globe to decide a destination where he will serve. His first spin lands at Kenyatta, but he decides to go with his second pick at Uganda. Nicholas fascinatingly explores the surroundings of Uganda while inside a bus. The ambiance is bright, busy and lively. People cheer for the arrival of a military man named Idi Amin and his army, who at the time are initiating a coup to overthrow the then President Obo. Nicholas arrives the night after and meets Sarah, the wife of Dr. David Merritt, whom he will be working for in a rural health clinic. He appears to be subtly overwhelmed during his first few days, noticing the huge difference in the way of life and how much of the people prefer the witch doctors in their village. One day, Dr. Merritt attends to an emergency medical mission a few miles away. Nicholas volunteers to come with him, but he declines his offer and instead instructs him to stay in the clinic with Sarah. In the midst of playing soccer with the young village men, Nicholas learns that current President Amin is visiting their village. He invites Sarah to join in welcoming him. The village is suddenly full of life and activity as President Amin delivers his speech on a makeshift stage. He promises the Ugandan people a better country through his leadership and impresses Nicholas as well. Nicholas and Sarah leave shortly after but are interrupted by an army vehicle. They are told to attend to President Amin, who hurt his hand after his vehicle collides with a cow. Nicholas comes to President Amin's aid and shoots at the wailing cow that distracts him. President Amin looks at him with distrust and asks if he is British. Nicholas immediately denies and tells that he is Scottish, showing him his shirt with the words, "Scotland," in print. This relieves President Amin and replies about his admiration for the Scottish people. He asks Nicholas to trade his shirt for his son named Campbell in exchange for his military shirt, to which Nicholas agrees. They part ways afterwards, leaving him and Sarah astonished at the situation. They come back to the clinic later that night, where Nicholas invites Sarah for a drink. Having known his intentions, Sarah politely declines. Sarah opens up about feeling undervalued in her marriage with Dr. Merritt, but couldn't care less as he is a good man dedicated to his cause. Nicholas responds with a kiss, to which Sarah quickly pulls away and distances herself from him through the night. The next day, Nicholas wakes up to an army of Ugandan soldiers in front of the clinic. He is approached by Jonah Waswa, President Amin's advisor and the Ugandan Minister of Health. Jonah informs Nicholas that President Amin requests his presence in the palace, where he is escorted using the president's car. Upon arrival, the president offers him a job as his personal physician. Nicholas is deeply honored but declines due to his dedication in the medical mission with Sarah. President Amin seemingly agrees and invites him to stay for the night to join the state dinner instead. Nicholas is taken to the tailor and is given a dark suit to wear on President Amin's account. He meets Stone inside the shop, a British diplomat who commends President Amin's firm leadership. They talk about him while watching the Ugandan army pursue the remaining men of former President Obo from the shop windows. During the state dinner, President Amin introduces Nicholas to his wives and finally meets Campbell's mother, Kay. He also exchanges greetings with Mr. Perkins, a British High Commissioner, and Stone, whom he met earlier. President Amin delivers another encouraging speech about black empowerment, which greatly inspires all the guests. The next scene shows Nicholas waking up to a knock in the middle of his sleep. He is told to treat President Amin, who is feeling sick. He sees President Amin lying on bed, in pain, and claims to have been poisoned. Nicholas discovers a bottle of aspirin near the bedside and treats his abdominal pain by pressing on the president's abdomen with a bat, allowing him to release gas. President Amin laughs out of embarrassment and commends Nicholas's skills. Nicholas assures him of confidentiality as part of his doctor's oath. President Amin hangs out with Nicholas afterwards as he opens up to him about sad stories of his childhood. Nicholas calls Sarah the following day to inform her about his whereabouts and that he is to start working for President Amin in the palace. He also tells her that he will write to Dr. Merritt, who is still on his emergency medical mission. He ends the call in an apologetic note and assures her that he will keep in touch. Jonah takes Nicholas for a tour in a hospital later, where he will be working sideline. There he meets Dr. Junju, who happens to be his predecessor. He also crosses paths with Stone again, where he subtly asks Nicholas to keep in touch and report to him about any unusual movement by President Amir. Nicholas turns him down, but Stone does not take no for an answer as he tells him again to keep in touch. The next few days appear blissful for the newly appointed presidential doctor. Nicholas enjoys the benefits of being close to President Amin, where he is taken in almost everywhere he goes. One day, President Amin turns to Nicholas for a favor. He asks him to attend a meeting in his place due to a schedule conflict. Nicholas attends the meeting and is surprised to discover that it is an important meeting with foreign contractors on a construction project. Nonetheless, Nicholas impresses President Amin with the new building he has chosen and calls out his other advisor Jonah for his lack of good taste. In the hospital, Nicholas is seen working with Dr. Junju just before an explosion erupts. They come up to the rooftop and witness the series of gunshots and explosions coming from Makindye prison, where former President Obo's people are being held. Just then, Nicholas is rushed to a different house to treat Mackenzie, one of the president's sons who is having seizures. He gives Mackenzie a shot, to which he calms down. Nicholas learns that Mackenzie and his mother Kay lives away from the palace after President Amin regarded them as a bad omen because of his condition. He insists that Mackenzie has epilepsy and that he should be taken to the hospital, as he makes an appointment for him. Grateful of Nicholas for treating his son Mackenzie, President Amin comes early to his place and gifts him a car. He also asks Nicholas to drive him to the airport. Nicholas agrees and quickly gets changed. He asks President Amin about the explosions the other day, and President Amin answers that they successfully held Obo's men off before abruptly changing the subject. President Amin rides Nicholas's new car on the way to the airport, with the presidential car in front. Nicholas tells President Amin that he does not like the way he treats Mackenzie and his wife Kay. They argue, with President Amin rebutting that Nicholas has not experienced being poor and that he would not understand. Right after they reconcile, they are interrupted by a large number of masked gunmen attacking the presidential car. Nicholas hurriedly drives away and maintains the safety of President Amin while his men suffer as casualties. President Amin explodes in anger and anxiety after reaching the airport. He looks around in disbelief and claims that somebody has betrayed him. He appoints Masanga as his head of security and displeasingly questions Jonah's absence as his advisor and minister. A soldier calls the attention of President Amin to report that the gunman has been arrested. He brings Nicholas with him to see the gunman in the midst of being tortured. President Amin lectures and rants at the gunman for being loyal to Obo, who is a drunk and silly man. He and Nicholas leave the place and let his men take over the gunman. Nicholas comes to a lounge bar to unwind as he is shaken by the recent events. He is surrounded by women, but he notices Jonah having a private conversation with a white man on the corner. This leaves Nicholas distracted throughout the day, to which President Amin notices. With him now being President Amin's closest advisor, he tells him about Jonah and the white guy in the bar. President Amin remains silent as Nicholas leaves his office. The next day, Nicholas hangs by the pool area in the palace. He greets Kay while Mackenzie and Campbell play by the pool. While looking at her admiringly, Stone arrives with a newspaper and greets Nicholas. He tells Nicholas about the series of disappearances from people who speak ill of President Amin and his regime. Nicholas annoyingly shrugs him off out of loyalty. Stone, on the other hand, persists and asks Nicholas about the disappearance of Jonah. He is surprised upon hearing this for the first time, thus convincing him to join Stone in a few drinks with the person who wrote the article on President Amin. After their meeting, he also learns from Stone that Jonah has been sealing a deal on life-saving penicillin for the masses, which explains his private meeting in the lounge bar. Nicholas is upset and confused, giving into the possibility of the truth behind the allegations on President Amin. Hence, he ultimately decides to go back to Scotland. He comes to say goodbye to President Amin, where he meets his body double. While making fun of his body doubles, President Amin notices the seriousness on Nicholas's face and confronts him about his sudden departure. He manages to convince Nicholas not to leave by embracing him and saying that Uganda is his new home. President Amin throws a party for Nicholas with go-go dancers by the pool in order to clear his mind. Nicholas, on the other hand, drowns himself in alcohol. Kay sees him in his miserable state and invites him for a walk. They leave the party and end up spending the night together. After the party, he comes back to his flat and finds it ransacked. He sees a Ugandan passport with his picture on it, and learns that his Scottish passport is taken. Nicholas comes to Stone's house in the middle of the night to ask for help to get out of Uganda. Stone enlightens him about the current situation in Uganda and shows him pictures of dead tribe members, villagers and even cabinet members such as Jonah. Nicholas is terrified and pleads to be taken out of Uganda, but Stone tells him to earn his passage by killing President Amin. Days continue to pass by and the hospital is in chaos. President Amin declares to expel all Asians in Uganda and gives them 90 days to leave, which prompts Masanga and his men to kick out all sick Asian patients in the hospital. Nicholas butts in to stop Masanga after punching Dr. Junju and manages to send them out. Nicholas immediately complains to President Amin, trying to help him see things in a different light. Unfortunately, President Amin belittles Nicholas and calls him a nobody. His remaining trust for Nicholas seemingly gone. Kay calls Nicholas frantically over the phone. She tells him that she is pregnant and that she needs to undergo abortion as soon as possible for their own safety. Nicholas calms her down and tells her to stay in her house. The next morning, he tries to seek the help of Dr. Junju to arrange a clinical setting for Kay and avoid the witch doctors, but Dr. Junju reluctantly disapproves. Nicholas is left with no choice but to perform the abortion alone. He gathers all the medical supplies he can get, but just before he finishes, Masanga interrupts to tell him that President Amin wants to see him immediately. A furious President Amin welcomes Nicholas inside the office. He complains to Nicholas about the claims on the international newspapers about him being a madman and a cannibal. President Amin turns to him, blaming him for the occurrence and asks him what to do. In turn, Nicholas advises him not to banish the international journalists and charm them through a press conference. As the conference proceeds, Nicholas at the back of his mind is in utter disgust from all the lies President Amin has been saying on media. He comes to Kay's house to proceed with the abortion but fails to find her there. Instead, Nicholas sees a dead Kay in the morgue with dismantled arms and legs, leaving him devastated while he vomits. Nicholas drives to see Amin and decides to finally kill him using pills. He gives President Amin the bottle, claiming it to be the headache pills he has been asking for. Before he could leave, President Amin summons him again to seek his help in assisting trapped hostages. President Amin believes this to be a chance to change the world's perception of him and Uganda. On their way to the airport, Nicholas anxiously looks at the bottle of pills on the hands of President Amin. Masanga notices this and has become suspicious of him. Masanga takes the bottle and tests one pill on one of the soldiers. Nicholas runs to aid the soldier, making him spit the pill as his attempt to kill President Amin is discovered. In the following scene, Masanga and his men are seen dragging an already heavily bruised Nicholas in front of the hostages and into a secluded room. President Amin slowly paces towards his injured frame, and begins to confront him for his betrayals. President Amin admits knowing about Nicholas and Kay's affair. He also tells him about a ritual in his village where they purge an evil man by hanging him by his own skin. Masanga and his men do as the ritual says, bringing 2 hooks and a rope. They hold Nicholas up and puncture the skin on his chest area with each of the hooks. As soon as the hooks penetrate, they hang him up with the rope onto the ceiling. President Amin and the men watch him as he passes out and leaves his bloodied body alone in the room. President Amin comes back to the media with his charming persona to announce that non-Israel hostages are to be safely transported back to their countries by plane. Dr. Junju manages to sneak into the room and gives Nicholas a first aid treatment. He assists him in escaping Uganda with the hostages in order to tell the truth about President Amin. Not long after, Masanga and his men discover Nicholas's body gone. Masanga shoots Dr. Junju in the process while his men search for him. Fortunately, Nicholas manages to slip into the plane by carefully blending in with the hostages. The movie ends with the Israeli forces storming into the airport 48 hours later and frees all but one of the remaining hostages. It is also revealed that President Amin ultimately fails in his goal of charming the international media, as they turn against him for good. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe my channel for more videos like this. See you in the next video.